And this is what I want to talk about for a little bit. Because we have the Southern Baptist Convention Executive Committee. Now, if you don't know what that is basically the people who run the convention. The convention actually in itself does not exist except for the annual meetings. So when there's an annual meeting every 2 years, I think, or whatever, they exist when the members, the messengers, all show up and they, go to Nashville. The next one is in Anaheim. They're going to show up and they're going to vote on certain things, get business done, and tell the executive committee where they want funds to go to and what kind of motions they want to have and what business they want done. And then throughout the year, it is up to the executive committee to actually do that, to write the checks that go to North American Mission Board, International Mission Board, all those things, but also to do the things to make sure that the will of the messengers is done. Now, that is how they are Baptists. Baptists, one of the main things about being a Baptist is that we believe in the autonomy of the local church, which means that we believe that every local church runs its own government. Now, some of that government may be different. Whether you believe in a plurality of elders or whether you think the deacons should run the show, please tell me you don't think that the deacons should run the show. It doesn't work, okay? It never works. Bad things happen when deacons get to run the show, but also bad things happen when, one senior pastor gets a lot of power. I've talked about it before. I think actually in the last video, I talked about how I believe, for my perspective of this, that the local church should be elder-led, deacon-served, and congregationally ruled. Now, some churches do it differently. The Second London Baptist Confession over there on the shelf, it gives a lot of wiggle room on how you want to interpret these things. But the baseline of all of it is that the church should be run by that church and not have some hierarchy that they have to answer to. Now, that would contrast directly with Presbyterians who have a presbytery, and the church, not necessarily the church, but the pastors, I guess, in the church have to answer to the presbytery and all of that kind of stuff. Or different organizations do it differently, different denominations, all of that. But the thing that makes Southern Baptist, because you could look at the convention and say, okay, well, if they go by that and they get all this work done from a convention, then isn't the convention in itself like the ruling body of the Southern Baptist Convention? Well, for the last, however many years it's been around, what is it? It's like 200 years. When was the Civil War? Yeah, a lot of bones in that closet. Yeah. So they've been around for a long time, and for the longest time, they've been able to say that, no, we're Baptist because it's the local church that has the power, and they can pull out of the convention whenever they want and all that kind of stuff. But something happened this past week and is still happening and might be finalized tomorrow or might go away tomorrow. That is actually attacking, I don't think people really understand, it's really attacking the whole idea of being Baptist. Not just about being Southern Baptist. So you might be like, all right, Dean, what are you talking about? What is going on? Well, comes from some of these kind of thoughts. I put this up here because I want you to see it. I'm not even going to read it. I'm just going to have you have it right there. So the Southern Baptist Executive Committee, they were tasked by the convention, this past convention, to waive privilege and have a third-party investigation basically check and see what the executive committee has been doing in regards to sexual abuse in the churches. Whether there's been, cover-ups, whether, some people were mistreated, all of these kinds of things. And they were supposed to do this big, deep dive, and it was supposed to just reveal everything, just get it all done with. Let's see, let's make sure that victims are taken care of. That's what the messengers said. That's what they voted on overwhelmingly. Now come to find out that the executive committee is trying to get around that. Now, they have all kinds of reasons for that, but they've been actively trying to make sure that the executive committee doesn't have to waive privilege. Now, what we mean by that is that the third-party investigation, that they'll have access to everything, that they'll be able to, do the investigation all on their own, and whatever they find out is what they find out, and they can go public with whatever. And they, NDAs, all of that kind of stuff is out the window. Well, they don't want that. And I'm not going to speculate, although I really could. I'm not going to speculate on why they don't want to do that. They have said that it's financial, that they don't want to jeopardize the financial status of the convention. I don't fully understand that. Insurance, they say. A lot of lawyer talk. But my main point in bringing this up is to say that they have actively vetoed, basically, what the messengers said for them to do. Now, why is that a big deal? Because they just built a hierarchy. They just made it so that there is a small group, the executive committee, who actually is in charge of the Southern Baptist Convention, that they can, when they deem it appropriate, go against what the messengers as a whole have voted. And they've never done that before. Or I think that there was like something in 2011. I forget. Someone tweeted about that a while ago, that this wasn't the first time. But in general, this is unprecedented, that they would go against what the messengers overwhelmingly told them to do. So what they're basically doing is they're building, sounds so weird, but a presbytery within the Southern Baptist Convention that basically is in charge of the churches and saying, no, we're going to go against what you have already said, and according to what their bylaws say and all of that kind of stuff. So why is this such a big deal? Because a lot of people are upset, and rightfully so, because when you act in this way, you're basically taking the foundation of what it means to be a Baptist away. And because of that, then this executive committee can do all kinds of things, and they can they can make changes without the churches knowing. All kinds of chaos can erupt from this one decision. Now, I think that there's a lot of more morally at stake, and I'll let you read between the lines about what I'm talking about. But I will say, theologically, the SBC is kind of in chaos right now, whether they're going to respect the autonomy of the local church, whether they're going to respect even their own bylaws, whether they're going to have the executive committee act in this way where they can just kind of dictate what they want to do. It's interesting.